When does a government's promise of change become just another layer of political varnish masking the same broken system? In the case of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's immigration policy, that moment is now. What began as a sweeping pledge to restore integrity and rationality to the asylum system has rapidly devolved into a muddled mess of half measures, inflated rhetoric, and a fundamental disconnect between promise and performance. The public was sold a vision of leadership, but what they've received is indecision, obscurity, and a rising tide, both literal and metaphorical, of small boat arrivals across the channel. Let's stop pretending that Starmer's decision to scrap the Rwanda deportation scheme was rooted in strategic brilliance. It wasn't. It was a political maneuver designed to differentiate Labour from the Conservative legacy, aimed more at ideological distinction than practical effectiveness. And now, the numbers are catching up with the fantasy. In just 1 week of April 2025, 2,000 people arrived in small boats, 705 in a single day. These aren't just statistics. They are symptomatic of a government with no grasp on operational deterrence. For all of Starmer's grand talk of smashing the gangs, the only thing being shattered is public trust in his leadership. This is not about moral posturing, it's about competence. The Rwanda plan, however flawed in execution, at least attempted to tackle the deterrence element of illegal crossings. Starmer and his allies called it unethical and unworkable. But what is ethical about a system that now invites more dangerous crossings, increases the profits of smuggling networks, and clogs an already overwhelmed asylum process with no clear triage or endgame? His alternative, a vague promise to work with partners and address root causes, is not policy, it's procrastination wrapped in platitudes. And don't let the international praise fool you. The UNHCR's endorsement may stroke the egos of policymakers in Westminster, but it does little to reassure British communities watching their coastal towns become arrival hubs. This government seems more concerned with impressing global think tanks than defending the integrity of Britain's borders. Ethical leadership is not about winning applause in Geneva. It's about delivering results at home. Starmer is failing not because his ideals are inherently wrong, but because he's chosen optics over action. He dismantled a high-profile deterrence policy without having a robust alternative in place. That's not reform, that's recklessness. Now he's boxed into a corner where soaring arrivals are met with empty soundbites and recycled promises. Smashing the gangs might look good on a press release, but when your record shows no measurable progress, and worse, an acceleration of the crisis, words become weightless. This failure is magnified by Labour's complete lack of strategic clarity. Where are the targets? Where are the timelines? Where is the data-driven roadmap that shows how this government plans to reduce crossings, process claims efficiently, and repatriate failed asylum seekers? The silence is deafening. In the absence of detail, all we're left with is the unmistakable stench of political cowardice, one that is being exploited by parties like Reform UK who, whether you agree with their hardline stance or not, are at least speaking with a sense of urgency and direction. The British public deserves more than euphemisms and evasions. They deserve a government that can distinguish compassion from chaos and enforcement from erosion. Starmer promised to be that government. Instead, he's given us policies designed to look good in principle but unravel in practice. Immigration is not a game of moral superiority. It's a test of a nation's ability to manage sovereignty, security, and fairness all at once. And right now, this administration is flunking it. Let's be brutally honest. If this were a Conservative Prime Minister overseeing a 43% spike in crossings year on year, Labour would be howling for resignations. But now that it's one of their own, the message is diluted, the criticism softened, and the accountability evaporated. That double standard is dangerous. We cannot selectively care about border security based on who holds the keys to number 10. With local elections looming, the stakes couldn't be higher. This issue, unlike others that ebb and flow with media cycles, is persistently visceral. It touches on national identity, social cohesion, and economic sustainability. If Labour cannot demonstrate a real, tangible grip on illegal immigration soon, they will pay a heavy price at the ballot box, not just in May, but in the broader credibility of their mandate. Keir Starmer's immigration policy is no longer a question of left versus right. It's a question of results versus rhetoric. And until this government stops governing by press release and starts governing by principle and precision, the crisis at the channel will only deepen. The tide isn't turning. It's rising, and it's about to flood this administration with consequences.